Right, so if you want to know how to actually make or create the pluperfect, it's exactly the same than what we've done for the perfect tense. So remember, oh, that is from last lesson. So remember if we have like a small reminder, okay, the perfect tense. So the perfect tense was in three parts: subject, then the auxiliary, and then the verb in either E, accent I, or U. And so it gave something like j'ai mangé. I have eaten. Okay, easy peasy. So that was the perfect tense. Here, we are going to do exactly the same, except that this is going to be in the imperfect. So what's the imperfect of avoir? So you look at avoir here. How do you form the imperfect? You're going to look at the present tense. Nous avons. Right, drop the ONS and add your endings. So AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IEZ, and AIENT. There we are, endings. So to formulate the pluperfect, you're going to have your auxiliary, so avoir, you're going to have avoir in the imperfect. So that would give you something like I had eaten, would be je apostrophe. Here, dropping the ENS, adding the AIS. J'avais, I had, j'avais mangé. There we are, pluperfect sorted. J'avais mangé, right? Using the auxiliary in the imperfect. And that is basically it. Right, now, just like in the perfect tense, remember there was either avoir or être. When do we use each of them? Avoir, so was for most verbs. And être was for Mrs. Van der Tramp's. Or did I add S here? There's no S at the end of Mrs. Van der Tramp. There we are. Right, Mrs. Van der Tramp, or which were movement verb, remember? Or state, like being born. And then reflexive verbs also used the auxiliary être. Reflexive verbs. There we are. So we're using exactly the same auxiliary in the same way than the perfect tense, exactly the same. The only difference is that the auxiliary is actually in the imperfect. So it's quite easy. So if you have a look here, and then remember that every verb that finishes in ER is going to become E accent, IR will become I, and RE become U. There you are. So there we are. You have either, in the perfect tense, you would have, sorry, like I write perfect here. J'ai, or you would have je suis, depending on whether you're using avoir or using être. Okay, well, in the pluperfect, you just have either j'avais or j'étais, which is the imperfect. J'étais is the imperfect form of the verb to be, être. There we are, and then adding your verb. Okay, so for example, j'avais could be joué, I had played, and then J'étais avec Mrs. Vandertrump could be aller. There we are. J'étais allé. Sorted. Okay? It's exactly the same than the perfect tense, guys, except that the auxiliary is in the imperfect. Now, in terms of the agreement, it's going to be the same rules than in the perfect tense, meaning that with être, you're going to agree the verb with the subject. So an example here, il était allé, he had gone. Right, doesn't do anything, but then elle était allée, agreeing the verb with the she, adding an e here, okay, because she's feminine. Same here if we had elle, as in many girls, elles étaient, here auxiliary is in the they form, and then elles étaient allées, you add e and s because they are feminine and there are more than one. Right, so same rules, same agreement rules than in the perfect tense. If it's with être, you agree the verb with the subject. If with avoir, you don't agree nothing except except can't write anymore. There we are. Except if there's a direct object pronoun in front of the verb. Okay, that one was a bit tricky to understand when we had only done the perfect and not the pronouns yet, but now we can understand. So if I say I had eaten the apple, j'avais mangé la pomme, transform it into a direct object pronoun, so je l'avais mangé. Here the L apostrophe is the it. It replaces la pomme, the apple, and goes in front because, as you know, as you've learned in your pronoun lesson, the object pronoun always comes in front of the verb. So je l'avais mangé, talking about la pomme, you're going to add an e here because we are agreeing the verb with the direct object in that particular case. Right. And this is basically, guys, how we create the pluperfect. It's not that hard. The only specificities are the same that in the perfect tense, basically. So if you know how to build your perfect tense and you know how to build your imperfect, there is no reason why you couldn't build the pluperfect. It's not actually that hard. It's just a little tricks, like some tricks to just know, and then you will be able to master one of the nicest tense, not nicest in terms of aesthetics, but more in terms of like the reaction it will draw from your examiner. Right, and that is all for me for this lesson. I'll let you do your booklet, and then the next lesson will be on negatives and the reflexive verbs with the pluperfect.